So in general, I would say like the main ones are the typical ones in business. So like lack of transparency. This is like a clear red flag. Like if they are not explaining at least once a week what's going on, what's the progress, and so on. Like that should be an obvious red flag. Overpromising. It's quite common these days. Like it's very easy to get hung up with the way in particular numbers, but if I say that it's like 99.9% accurate, it doesn't mean anything unless I am creating a test set that represents really, really well what the customer truly cares about. So being too hung up on numbers and not choosing the right test data, I would rather prefer to have like a much lower number, but in a much tougher scenario than being able to claim that it's like 99% accurate. Like we can trick the numbers later on if it's super required for marketing, but in general, when it comes for development, I would say like try to go for the toughest scenario and do not overpromise. And if the data science consultancy partner that you have chosen is doing that, that could be a red flag. And finally, like I would say that it's not only about the development, but it's also about like the maintenance. Because like, let's say that we are detecting GANs in high schools, like the example that we just put before. So right now, what's the next step? When you have the system deployed, when everything is ready, when everything is running, the next step is to make sure that the company is going to maintain that's going to make sure that it's scalable, that it's going to make sure that when there is a particular change somewhere, that it continues to work. Because if it's something that it only needs to work in a workshop or in a very specific environment, and then they add a new light or they make some change that it makes that whatever it is that you're trying to do looks dramatically different. Like this is very common with reflections. If you put a super bright light and you're trying to detect something metallic, for example, it's going to look completely different to a camera, and that can create problems. Luckily, these days it's not as much of a problem as it once was because of the latest innovations in AI and computer vision. But being able to not only create but also maintain and give long-term support, that's another thing to look for when you are searching for an AI partner.